that while I was at FSO about building a really, really big business and helping our agents build a business that is as big as our Keller Williams franchises. And so this series kind of came about. I was having a conversation with Terry, and she said, Christy, you really need to, because I wanted to elevate my own business and my own team, and she said, I just really encourage you to surround yourself with higher-minded thinkers. And she's like, you have some great friends in the community. She's like, look at your lender partners, look at your relationship with Katrina and Matt, who's one of my great mentors that owns Katy magazine, and just some really strong people that in the community. And she goes, go surround yourself with those people, because they're going to give you ideas from their business experience that's going to help you grow your business. And I was like, wow, that's really awesome. And I was sitting at Keller Williams International doing a training, and they were talking about Walt Disney and how before he ever drew Mickey Mouse, he was sitting in a park in Los Angeles with his kids, dreaming about how wonderful it would be to have a magical place for families to be able to go and to be able to just have it feel magical. And he thought about what would all the obstacles be to that magic. And he thought, nobody wants to see them replace the trash. So Walt Disneyland and Walt Disney World, they actually have this whole underground community where the trash gets changed from below and the food is grown hydroponically and all these particular things are happening. And so they said, hey, as you're building Keller Williams franchises, you need to be thinking about all these things and scaling your systems to make sure that it can accommodate the growth of all of your agents and to dream big. Because when we dream big, it helps you guys dream big. So I was thinking about this, and then I was thinking about where he built the first park. Okay, so he built the first park on swampland. I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing to do, and a lot of our area is built on rice paddies and swampland as well, right? And so being able to be industrious, because that land was cheap, and to be able to grow and to move, and that's where the cities were going, was pretty incredible. And I just kind of took those two things, and I heard Terry say, surround yourself with higher-minded people and build your own Disney. And I thought, what good does it do if I just surround myself with higher-minded people? I want to be able to surround all of our agents with higher-minded thinkers. And so we sat down and we came up with a wish list of who could come and speak to us about all these different things. And one of the people at the top of my wish list is our speaker today, Mayor Katy, Chuck Brawner, and he is going to come and share with us about his experiences in business, building a personal brand, because a lot of you, your brand for your real estate is you, right? Well, your brand in politics is you. And so he's going to share a lot of that with us and just some of his wisdom in those particular pieces. And hopefully you can take some of those nuggets that he's sharing with you and go, okay, how can I apply this to my business? For those of you that have been coming, every week as we've been having different folks, I heard a lot of people say, oh my gosh, Matt Schomburg, I've immediately implemented some of the stuff that he said. And I heard other people say, Rusty Wiley, oh, I immediately implemented some of the stuff that he said. So while you're listening to the mayor today, don't just think about what is he sharing with us, but think about how can I implement that in my business, and then we want you to go do it. So with that, I would like to give a warm introduction to Mayor Chuck Brawner.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today.
I appreciate the invite, and so I wanted to just give you a little bit of background on me first and where I've been in my life so far. Is that I graduated from Sam Houston State at a Leadership Command College a number of years ago. And so leadership is real important in business. And so it also teaches you, as you are a leader, where are you going? So that helped me. Then I also wanted to, when I retire, which I am retired now from one job, and now became mayor of the city of Katy. I was on Katy City Council for a number of years. And one of the first things that when I got elected to city council was that not only is Katy growing, but what's our roadmap? How are we going to get to where we need to be in 4 years, 5 years, and on? And you have business plans, you have these ideas that you want to do, say like in the real estate business, but how are you going to get there? And to me, and where I've come from, is strategic planning. And I'm looking at what y'all have up here. And that is an element of strategic planning. Because what you do is you sit down and you say, okay, I'm here. How am I going to get to here? Okay, how am I going to go? Because if you don't have it down where you can look at it, you can veer off and go in the wrong directions. It's not something that you can do in a day or 3 days or 2 weeks. Sometimes what we did at the city of Katy, we brought in a consultant to help us. But I wanted to see a strategic plan for the city of Katy. If not, the growth is going to overwhelm us. We're not going to be able to provide public safety and the services, public works, and things like that unless we manage what we do and we stay on course. So we developed some core principles of strategic planning on what we wanted to be. We wanted to be a family-oriented community, number one. We wanted to provide outstanding public safety with police, fire, EMS, and city services. And we wanted to maintain our legacy of the city of Katy, which goes way back into the 1800s. And that legacy is still there. And what happens is, as growth comes, if you don't protect that core, then you start losing control. So we set those down. We had about 5 principles that we were going to work at. Okay, those are the first parts of it. In strategic planning, okay, let's just take one area there, a family-oriented community. All right, how do we get there? So you develop action plans. And this is a group effort. It's just not one person here because you want different perspectives of how you're going to get to where we want it to be. And so you toss it back and forth on these are your action plans. And that's part of strategic planning. So you have your action plans. All right, we want to maintain our legacy. We want to be a community of families and a good place to raise a family. So then we identified underneath those the things that we needed to do. A responsive government. If somebody has problems, tree limb down or whatever it may be, then we will go ahead and put those as items of our action plan on how we're going to deal with certain things. Now you're developing your roadmap. Your roadmap to strategic planning and where you're going to be. And then how far up do you go with that? How many years out do you go? 2 years. You got kind of a short-term plan, things that need to be done. You got a little bit longer plan. In about 5 years, you want to be here. All right. So then you go back, and all right, you go back and you look at your action plans. Have you accomplished that action plan, whatever it may be in your career? So you identify that, and it may be a 6-month or quarterly review of what's worked, what's not worked, and getting to your goal. Remember, this is a roadmap that you set out. And so it's real interesting to be able to go back and say, okay, right now, we've accomplished about 25% of where we wanted to be under creating this community and maintaining the legacy as a historic town of Katy. So then you come back again in another 3 months or 6 months and you look at what worked and what didn't work. If it's not working, then you've got to make some changes. You learn sometimes by your mistakes, but also with the help of others that may be in the same place you have been in. You can visit with them and say, hey, I'm trying to get this plan up here, and I'm stumbling a little bit here. And so maybe through their experiences, they can help you through it in your field. My field wasn't always politics. Actually, I don't think of myself as a politician in a small town like Katy, but my career was in law enforcement. And so the agency that I worked for was very driven in strategic planning. And we had a category, it's still ongoing. You don't set your like, I want to get 50% in the first year. You do it in little increments all the way up until you get there. And so in that realm, we developed our plans, and we have about 3 or 4 of them, just like we do in the city. You don't want too many. You don't want to book this thing. Our strategic plan in the city of Katy is about like that. It has your accomplishments and the things that you want to do, things you've done, and then you go back and you look at it. So look up strategic planning. Some call it a comprehensive plan, but the strategic areas is what's going to benefit you the most by the community that you're in, where y'all are working, say like Cross Creek Ranch or over in Falcon Point or some other areas. So strategic planning is a real important aspect of what you want to do. You don't want to make it too difficult. You want to make your goals achievable, and then you can move on. So you have your objectives to get your goals done. I'm just kind of recapping. Your action plans to be able to get it done. And you share that with all your employees. And you come back and we do once a year, we do another review of our strategic plan. Our other plan is that we're going to manage the growth. That's part of it. If you don't manage growth, then it will get away from you. And I will tell you, since I've been on city council in 2013 until today, I just became mayor in last May, is that our growth has exploded with the various industrial, commercial that is going in along the Katy Freeway. We're sitting right at a prime spot to have more developments come in, and a lot of commercial coming in. As you may have heard, Amazon is building a 1 million square foot fulfillment center in the city of Katy. You don't think we go that far out? That's almost to Woods Road, if you're familiar with that. Buc-ee's came in. Buc-ee's came in and said, we're going to create 250 jobs. They've done that. And that place is busy all the time. Amazon, 1,000 to 1,200 new jobs. So what's the impact going to be on our community? Are we going to be able to, as a city, provide services to all of those businesses that are coming in? Because you get Amazons and Buc-ee's and a few other things that other companies want to come in and be close to them. And what does that open up? Housing. People want to live close to work. If you're one of the 1,000 people that's going to be at Amazon, do you really want to live down off of Westheimer somewhere and fight the traffic, or do you want to come out, and be close to Katy? So those are some of the things that we look at. Now the challenges are, as a council member, my challenge was given to me by our mayor. We felt that our public safety, especially on the fire side, was not where it needed to be. And so the challenge for me, and since he appointed me into that position, was to rebuild the fire department. And so I had to develop my own plan on how we're going to rebuild that to get the credibility we need. So for 4 years, we worked on it stage by stage and finally got it brought up to where it's a very good public safety entity in fire and EMS. Brought in a new fire chief from Irving, Texas. We set up our plans for that fire station. We're building another fire station over by the mall right now, and if it ever quit raining, they could probably get some work done. So anyway, this is kind of a short version of things that you got to look forward to. The other thing is, when I became mayor, we had some issues that we needed to take care of. So you have to identify things that are hurting your business. And it's the same way with us. And some of the things that were hurting us was the contracts we had with construction of streets, storm sewers, public works type of deals. So I personally went in and started reviewing our contracts. No use trying to invent the wheel. Somebody's already been there and done it, okay? And so I asked some of the engineering companies, can I see some of your contracts? And I saw where ours were deficient. I'm not a civil engineer, so I took that part out and looked at the conditions of a contract and found the shortcomings that we had. And they're real interesting. There was no penalties, so you could take a year or 2 years on a 1-year project. There was no penalties. There was no incentives for the contractors to get in there. When they were rebuilding the Katy freeway, you might remember this, I don't know whether you do, it's been a few years, but Williams Brothers got the contract. They had a huge incentive to finish it before a certain date. They worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They were pouring concrete at nighttime when it was cool during the summer, and they got a huge bonus at the end. So you put the incentives out there. We weren't doing that. So our new contracts now have that in there. You don't start the project within 10 days after we sign the contract, you're going to get penalized in dollars. You finish the project ahead of time, you're going to get a bonus on what you're going to do. And so that was one area. Then there's the unknowns. And the unknowns always come about, no matter what kind of business you're in. And the unknown to me was Harvey.
Exactly.
It was to us too.
Yeah, a lot of people. So Harvey comes along and places a lot of challenges on the whole metropolitan area. We had 687 homes that were flooded. We had a number of businesses flooded. We quickly learned that we didn't have the capabilities to perform swift water rescues. Our fire station was flooded, so we couldn't get any of the fire apparatus out. It's not made to go through 3 feet of water anyway. So we had to call upon the state, which was sending resources down. And the first night, when it just kept on raining, we had 125 people in panic mode that were stranded, either in cars, in their homes, in their attics, and we're working through all of this. My previous public safety job that I had, I was an emergency management coordinator. I had worked Ike back in 2008, and went through that whole situation. How we handled our rescues, how we handled getting resources to Galveston, and so I had learned a lot, been through all the trainings and everything else. So I used that to help guide our city folks into making sure we make good decisions. We didn't make some good decisions. The people that were there did not make some good decisions. We're in the process of correcting that. But one of the first things that we did before the water actually drained off is we got the equipment that we needed to immediately start doing rescues. If we have another flood, we have the high water vehicles, we have a rescue boat that can get through just about anything. And so those are already in place, ready to go. And then we're training our firemen. They go to New Braunfels, I guess they go to the Guadalupe River over there, and they do fast water rescues. So we're training the staff to be able to carry out these rescues. And then the challenges that you have is that you got a community that's injured and hurt. So pre-planning, all right, strategic planning. We'd already been affected somewhat by tax day flood. We weren't prepared to pick up the debris and things out of the 125 homes that had been damaged. So last summer, before Harvey, 2 or 3 months before Harvey, we went ahead and signed a contract with a company that picks up debris, nationwide company. So that's planning ahead just in case. In our job, we've got to plan for the worst and hope for the best, but that's part of our planning and our strategic plan on how we're going to handle those situations. So while everybody else was running around trying to figure out what they were going to do and who they were going to call after the storm, the trucks that came in from all over the country came into our city first. And the day after Labor Day, they were picking up all the debris that had been brought out. And for a month, they picked it up. My goal in that was the best way that you can start healing is you got to make your city look clean, and it's got to be to where people feel good that something is happening. So in 30 days, we picked up the majority of the debris. We actually picked up a total of 62,000 and some odd cubic yards of debris in 30 days. The rest of the cities and areas out here, it stayed piled up for weeks and months. I saw something on television the other day, months. So those are immediate things. Now, with our planning, we've got to mitigate that. So after we got through everybody being mad at us because we caused their homes to flood, of course everybody else in certain areas got flooded, and we had to deflect all of that. We are now in the mitigation part of it. We're going to do a bond election. We're going to bring together assets as far as the money. We've already been engineering what we need to do. We're building a comprehensive flood stormwater plan that will help us better manage the high rains up to 100-year flood. And so we're doing that. That's part of our planning now. That's been added to our strategic plan because that affected more people. We got a little over 6,000 homes in the city of Katy. And so we've got to assure our folks that we're doing everything we can. And it's going to cost us about $10 to $15 million to get this straightened out, to help us a little bit. Then on the larger scheme, the next part, it's not just one part. It has to be a whole group. So we've been working with the state and the federal officials to take care of the water, the storm water that's coming down on Katy. And of course, it affects Houston too. So it just downstream. So anyway, that's some of the things and challenges that I faced right off the bat. And then you have to go in and in the management field, you have to go in and do a needs assessment. What else needs to be done? So if you don't know, you need to come bring in a consultant. You need to work on, hey, Missouri City, what are you doing? What these other people are doing, and bring all of that together. And so that's where we are too on that kind of stuff. It's a real challenge. I have other challenges going on right now that are hard to work through, but we're gonna get through them. And so what's happening, and I don't know my time, I've got to go do a deal at one of our elementary schools on career day. So I have to be out over there by 1:15. But anyway, so what's happening in Katy right now? I mentioned Amazon, I mentioned Buc-ee's. We have another distribution facility that's going in. We don't know who it belongs to yet, but it's a 673,000 square foot distribution center that's being built right at King Island and 90. We have that going in. Mustang Caterpillar has purchased some land right along the Katy Freeway where they're going to have sales and repair on their Caterpillar equipment. That's happening over the next year or so. We've got a lot of other people coming in and trying to figure out, where they want to be. There's one real interesting one I will tell you, is that we had a gentleman come in about 2 months ago, and he builds car condos. Y'all know what car condos are? It is a development. It's going to be right up on 1463 in the city, and he builds these condos for the people that have cars that are $200,000, $300,000.
Wow.
And they keep their cars in there, okay? And it's kind of like they don't live in them. They keep their cars there. They have a little entertainment area. They have a refrigerator. It's kind of like the golf course, except you don't go play golf. The guys sit around, smoke cigars, or whatever those rich guys do, and all that kind of stuff. So he's going to be building that up on 1463. He's done that in a couple other cities here in the state of Texas. They filled up right away. So I just happened to be talking to somebody one day and told him about it, and he opens up his phone and he shows me his 12 Porsches. They're all in a garage, and he said he can't wait because he lives in Firethorn, and that's going to be right down the street from him for his 12 cars. Wow. So that is very interesting stuff to do that. So y'all have any questions about anything? I'm sorry that it's such a short period of time. What's my
12:45. We're doing good.
12:45.
Yeah.
Okay, we are. Got 5 minutes for questions. quick. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So when you're running for office, you're selling yourself, your brand.
Correct.
So what was that involved for you? Because us as realtors, we're often selling ourselves. You're running, obviously, you ran against several opponents. It was a good race. So
it was a good race for the mayor's position. It really tested me. Your brand is you. It has to be you. So what we've emphasized in the campaign for mayor is honesty, integrity, ethics. That was one thing. And so we did that. We had a vision of where we were going to be, what I wanted to do, and what were the top priorities. So you have a vision of what you want to do. The other thing is, in our world is, there's people that get on government positions one way or the other.
Right.
And there's two kinds. There's kinds that have a personal agenda or something that they want to carry forward, and they don't think about the citizens that they serve. They're going to take care of whatever their agenda is. My agenda was that I'm here for everyone, regardless of where they live, what size house, what kind of car, whatever it may be, I work for them. And so we've branded that basically and put it out in our lender tour, and we stayed consistent every time something came out. I had a few things that were the main talking points. One of them was, before Harvey, was the flood, stormwater management, which I wanted to get after anyway. I wanted to make sure that we had first-rate public safety, and we're there almost. And I wanted to make sure that we maintained, very important for the citizens of Katy, is the heritage of the city and what it was grounded in. And so I'm making sure that that is preserved. And so those were the main things, and then being able to communicate. You have to be able to, you put them down, that's great, but you have to be able to communicate them. You have to feel it inside of you so that when people talk to you or you talk to them, they feel that you're sincere in everything that you are planning to do. And I've had people come up, well, you said you were going to do this and it's not happening. Oh no, it's happening. I mean, they're getting a little antsy because we haven't broke ground on any of these projects yet, but it takes a while for the engineers to do it. And so that's what I call them back and I tell them that. And I feel just as strongly about that as you do in your home, because your home got flooded, and I'm doing everything I can. I had talked to a lady the other day. So that's what I was branded in. Also, my background was important to a lot of people since I came out of the law enforcement world, and some of the things that I've been involved in for a number of years. I was appointed by Governor Bush in 1995 to be an advisor to the governor on juvenile crime and issues and things like that. Right now, let's see, Bush, Perry, and now Abbott, they've all kept me as an advisor. So I do that on the side, basically. And so it's important that you show what your background is in our profession or in the political side of what you're all about. And then consistency. Consistency in everything you say and you do is what we did. I was consistent. I had a great campaign manager that she knew exactly how to get me going in the right direction. It was easy for being on council, but mayor's a different deal. And so I stayed consistent on message. And the other thing I did, no matter what all the opponent was throwing at me, I never responded directly back in a mudslinging type of situation. Let them sling the mud, this is what I do.
Yep.
And so that helped me get through all of that area too. So it was, I'm glad it was over with. Finally got a chance to rest. And in small towns, the way you go out and do those things is you actually go knock on doors and talk to people.
Did you all hear that? If the mayor can knock on doors and talk to people, you all can too.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
So, my name is Anna, and from your perspective, where do you think that we as a real estate practitioners can contribute the most with the development of the city or
Good question.
Well, I think that y'all are in direct contact with your customers. So you know what the customers are asking for. Some may be just, I don't want a 2-story house, I want a 1-story house, but I want 3,500 square feet, or whatever it may be. But you have to keep up with the new trends. And you have to realize, and you hear a lot about Generation X. I'm a baby boomer, so we're old, we don't even know how to use an iPad. But so you got your millennials. So you need to get a feel of what they're doing. And so what I would recommend, and I'm a big note taker, if I talk to somebody, what would you, if I was in your position, what are you looking for? I want wood floors, I want this, I want that, I want the house to be like this. And so you take that down, and then you look over everybody you talk to and see the tendencies. How many of them said X? Okay, you put those down. Then you start putting those in priority. Okay, so then what you have to do with the developers and everything is go to the developer and say, this is what people are looking for. And some developer may have it, some home builder may have it, others may not. And I know they're trying to feel the market too, with the millennials and the younger people that are coming on now. You know, what they want right now, smaller yards, nice houses. They don't want to have to do the lawn work. Or they're getting a cheap price from a yard guy that goes out and mows their grass. But you start developing trends, and then maybe y'all need to sit down together and start going over a list and see what everybody has, and those are your priorities, and that may be part of your strategic plan, and then you convey those to the developers.
Awesome.
Yeah, well,
Yes, sir.
outside of Cane Island and Ellison, do you know of any new master plan communities that are on the horizon?
Well, you got Jordan Ranch, and you got Young Ranch. Cane Island we're getting ready to annex more land that they want to build houses on, so we're going to be doing that. Any more large-scale housing other than Ellison or Ellison, whatever it's called, I don't know of any others right now. I know that I heard the other day that Katy Homes pulled out of an area north towards 529, north of Clay Road. The other thing is that with the flood situation in Harris County going up to the 500-year flood plan, that's causing some walk back because it's going to raise the cost of housing. We were talking about some areas now that, in fact, yesterday with the flood engineers, okay, and they're looking at some areas that would have to be built up 8 feet to get it to the right. 8 feet is a lot of money for dirt, and they got to get the dirt. And it's going to have to be built up. So they would normally take it out of retention ponds and things like that. Cane Island did that, dug those nice retention ponds. They're digging another big one. It's going to help us some too, and then bringing it in. So in Waller County, they have not adopted anything. Fort Bend County, I'm sure is going to be right along with Harris County on going to the 500 year. When it comes down from the federal level, out of FEMA, they're going to tell you what it's going to be. And when that's it, so that's going to probably change some of the land purchases to where the property owners, if it's low land and it's going to have to be built up 8 feet instead of 4 feet, they may not, at this time with the market the way it is, be able to see a return on their investment for the utilities and infrastructure to make it worthwhile. So it may slow down some of the land purchases going on. So
Resale, yep, resale will shift.
Definitely should.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It would help that. That's all the time I think I have right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.